Hey, in this video, I want to go through and walk through how I would do each of these problems. This is meant to be done alongside or viewed alongside the answer key. So if you are stuck on a problem, you can see how I'm getting those answers if just looking at my work isn't enough. This first problem, I know it says solve by factoring here, but this is what you'll hear me refer to as a ZPP problem. I have two things being multiplied together. Their answer is 0. So what that means is I can take each of these things inside the parenthesis, set them equal to 0, and I can solve both of these equations. Now for both of these two-step equations, I'm doing the opposite. IC minus, I add. IC multiply, I divide. We can leave this as a fraction, so I could leave 9/4 as, 9/4, or I could leave it as a decimal equivalent. For this problem on the right, I see plus 8. I subtract 8 from both sides. I would divide both sides by 2. And my solution here is x is equal to -4. All right, for my second problem, this is a solve by factoring problem. So this is where I set up my A, B, and C. AC is 20. Then I make my table. I'm looking for the pair of numbers that multiply to 20 and give me, or add together to give me 12. Those two numbers are +2 and +10. What that lets me do is break down my original problem like that. And then I get to find the GCF of those two pieces. There are my factors of my first piece. There are my factors of the second piece. Okay, there's my parentheses. My GCF over here is going to be a 1x, and my GCF for the purple is going to be a 10. My leftovers are 1x and 2, 1x and 2. Finally, for my signs, this sign drops down, this sign drops down for those two pluses. Now, I've only factored. I need to solve. So I'm going to take this, drag it over here so I have more work. And when I solve, I put this back equal to 0. Now, once again, we're back in the same world as number 1. I'm going to take these two pieces, set them both equal to 0, and solve both those equations. When I'm solving, I'm using my inverse operations. And my solutions happen at -2 and 10. Every single problem we're going to do is going to break down for solving and factoring into the first and second problem. So as I move forward, like I'm going to refer back to like, hey, this is what we're doing. And you're going to see me kind of try to speed through things so it's not a 20-minute video. For these problems, and I'll use this, I am using that equation right there. So to start off with, when it asks for the solution, it's asking you to factor and solve. Everything we just did for number 2, we're going to do here. So once again, I'm going to write down my A, B, C values, use that to find AC. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me -5 and add together to give me -4. My only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So using positive and negative numbers, I'm trying to make those add together to be -4. How that works is I take -5 and I add +1 to it. So my original equation, that x squared minus 4x minus 5, is going to become x squared minus 5x plus 1x minus 5. Now, everything I'm doing from here is the same as number 2. This is me just factoring. My GCFs are 1x and 1. And my leftovers are 1x and 5. Again, my two signs would drop down. So this is plus and this is minus. Now, once again, I have not, get that out of the way, I have not actually solved this. All I've done is I factored it. So again, so I have room. I'm going to take this up over here, and we're going to do the very first problem to this. I'm splitting both these pieces equal to 0. And now I'm going to cut some corners here. I solved those two equations. My solutions are -1 and 5. And what that means on the graph is they are my x-intercepts. So immediately I'm going to put a dot at -1 and at 5. Okay. Now, after this, these things I'm about to ask were what we did on our last test. And again, we will use that equation x squared minus 4x minus 5. So for the axis of symmetry, that is the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. The opposite of -4 is +4 over 2 times 1. That is 4 over 2. That is x equals 2. This also means that my vertex is happening at 2 comma something. To find out what my y-coordinate of my vertex is, I would plug 2 in for x. So I have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5. Okay, I don't have a calculator with me. So, what, that's -9? Okay, cool, my answer key is wrong. So then, over at 2, -9, I put a dot. My y-intercept is wherever my c value is, -5. This is -5, I put a dot. Now, in our last unit, we needed to make a table to find all the points. Because we find the x-intercepts right from the get-go, we have 2 of our 5 points there. Then our vertex is our 3rd point. My y-intercept is my 4th point. And rather than do any math, I am just going to reflect it. So I would go 2 lines to the right to get to my vertex. That means I'm just going to keep going. So my 5th point, the reflection of the y-intercept is going to be right there. What does my graph look like? I draw those nice curves with the arrows. Nice curve with the arrow. Again, all of this we just tested over. And again, I'm using that equation with it. All right, here's our next problem. Again, this is all the same. So as we're looking at this, right? My solutions are doing number 2, factoring and solving, and those other things at the bottom are what we already did. Just to be a little bit different, let's do the axis of symmetry and vertex first. Again, it's the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. It's negative 5 divided by 2 times 4. It's negative 5 divided by 8. Okay, negative 5 divided by 8 is negative 0.625. Cool. Now, what's happening is when I'm writing that problem, as your teacher, I am making the decision to make the solutions easier, and the vertex is going to be a mess. That is why you're seeing more decimals pop up. Now, once I know my vertex is happening at negative, and I'm going to put a 0 in here so it looks neater, at negative 0.625, that is negative 5 divided by 8, I would plug that into my original equation. So I'd have 4 parentheses, negative 0.625 squared plus 5 times 0.625, and that's still negative, minus 6. When I do that math, I type that into a calculator, I get negative 7.5625. How I would graph this is I go, here's 0, I'm going a little bit past 0, so somewhere between 0 and 1, and somewhere between negative 7 and negative 8. As you see me struggle to make that point, it's taking up most of the blank space in that box. That's fine. All right, moving on. Did this? All right, well, in the background, my stylus just died. Okay. So, my y-intercept is going to happen at 0, negative 6. All right, so, how am I going to make this work? Okay, well, as I try to figure out kind of on the fly if I have another stylus or how to make... Oh, this is going to be awful. That one is dead. That does not work. All right. Well, let's see if we can get through this problem. All right, so I would look at this, and the last number in my equation is negative 6. So what that means is I'm going to use 0, negative 6 as my y-intercept. I don't have a good way to show it. The stylus I have is dead, and think that's all I got in my house. And that's not gonna work. So cool. That is how you'd find your x-intercept or your y-intercept. For your solutions, what you would do is you would once again factor using the ABC method. For this problem, A is going to be 4, B is going to be 5, C is -6, which means AC is -24. So the numbers that multiply to -24 and add to, what would that be, 5? I'm going to have 1 and 24. 2 and 12. I'd have 3 and 8. 4 and 6. And I think that's everything. Now, because 24 is negative, and I know AC is 23, we're just going to ignore that. I've wasted enough time. Because 24 is negative, one number is positive, one number is negative. What I am going to use is I am going to use these two numbers. I want 3 and 8. Oh, don't be like this. Whatever. And what I am going to use is I'm going to use positive 8 and -3. Those two numbers will add to my positive 5. So what my equation is going to look like is it'll be 4x squared. And we're going to, well, I don't know if I can. Nope, it's not going to let me do that. Okay. It's going to be 4x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 6. And then from here, I would go about finding the GCF. Okay, so when I go to find the GCF, as I'm just typing this out so I can finish up this problem, your first parenthesis, the GCF between 4x squared and 8x is going to be 4x. The GCF of 3 and 6 are going to be, is 3. My leftover is going to be a 1x and 1 for both of those. And my signs are going to drop down. Now, on one hand, I feel bad that I'm not writing out every step. On the other, this is now the 4th time that I've done this problem. What I would do from here is I would go about solving these two equations. Now, as I'm doing a lot of this in my head right now, because again, stylus died, you can't see it, I can't see it. It's not 1x and 1. And this is going to be a 2. I would solve these two equations. So I would take 4x minus 3, put that equal to 0. I would take x plus 2, I'd put that equal to 0. I'd solve those two equations. As we start graphing this, it's gonna be uglier. Luckily, I got like the worst of the points on there before my stylus died. I would have a point that's almost 1, and I would have a point that's at -2. And I would probably need to plug in like -1 into my calculator to find the fifth point, because our y-intercept isn't going to reflect nicely. Now, this is 4, maybe 3.5 of the 4 or 5 problems you have on this. This last problem is the same as the rest. I'm going to end this video because me typing it out isn't working. I can't figure out how to make it right with my fingers. If you are watching this, you're like, wait, I have questions over that, just email me. Otherwise, you have your answer key that's alongside this on Canvas as well. So if you need something else, please be sure to reach out and let me know.